do you think?
Hello. Well, welcome to Drew University. I'm President Tim Cloyd, and it is truly an honor tonight to introduce to you Doyal Bryant, who's a friend, who's a thought partner, and who I can say with some authority is truly a genius in his style and his approach to business, and he's a visionary. Most of all, though, he's a person who loves music, and that's why I like him. He's not only loves music, but he's a musician, and he is the true exemplar of your Drury fusion. He connects his intellectual passion and his love for music and the arts with technical and professional capacities and style and knowledge to create something that's just phenomenal. And so that has led to be a serial entrepreneur. He's never received a paycheck. So when you think about that, he's an entrepreneur. He creates his own businesses. So some students out there, you think about that when you're getting your resume together and you want to get a paycheck from somebody, maybe talk to Doyal and create a company or a business. It takes someone who's not risk averse, I would say. But he graduated from Drury in 1975 from the Breach School, but grounded in our music program. Founding member, board director, EVP, head of global channel and strategic partnerships for Hyperreal Digital, one of his latest companies. Hyperreal specializes in making digital versions of many of your favorite celebrities, producing 3D digital likenesses called hypermodels. His work appears in top-grossing films and best-selling video games, which if you listed the films and you saw a few of the names up there, you probably have seen one of the films that Doyal's companies and Doyal himself has been involved in. Doyal works with many clients, including celebrities from music, sports, and film, such as closely with Paul McCartney, David Bowie, Taylor Swift, LeBron James, and many, many others. Doyal is also co-founder of project launch agency, how do you pronounce that? Fluka? The company, the product launch agency that you have, another company. So anyway, he's got more companies than I can remember. Fluker, yeah. But look Doyal up, Google him, Wikipedia him, and you can read his company list. But he stays at the forefront of technology, and as we kick off our inaugural Fusion Day, he is the example again of the spirit of fusion. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Doyal Bryant.
I think so. I'm mic'd? Is this working? I didn't deserve that. But I knew this man the first time I walked into his office and I saw a John Lennon poster. I taught music for 8 years at Hoover Music. And I was going to put pictures up here of some of the bands I played in while I was at Drury. You can see the long hair and changes, not quite so gray, and all the things. In fact, what I was probably remembered for by most of the students that were here in the 71 71 through 75 period was the concerts that I did here. I was talking about it earlier. As a small college at Weiser Gym, I was able to bring Leonard Skinner, Marshall Tucker, and Charlie Daniels to the students here. And we actually did the Ozark Mountain Daredevils and gave every student a ticket free. Weiser Gym will never have those concerts again. That was right at the height of Sweet Home Alabama, not like when they were just forming as a band and so forth. So Drury's always been special to me. I have a few comments I want to make about my business journey. And I think half the people in here really want to hear about hyperreal and see some really cool stuff, and I get that, but this is about fusion. And it's kind of important to me because I'm kind of like, if not one of the first, I'm kind of one of the unique ones that started fusion a little early. And what I mean by that is, during my junior and senior year, I wanted to take some marketing classes, and the business administration course didn't have it. The night school did. They had a certificate program for marketing, and I said, I want to take it. Drury him and hawed a little bit because there's something that Beth will tell you about the credentials of day and night and all this jazz, but you know, I won out that, and that was really important to me because it allowed me to go with it. And what I'm going to explain here, in my vision, this is what I tell my family, it's kind of like a Forrest Gump. I just want to tell you some of the things that I've been through and the ways I've had to pivot. I think it's important for you to hear the good and bad of a business journey that started with Drury, and then I'm going to tell you some things on why I think Drury has been an important part of that and why it's an important way for you to realize the power of what you have here. You know, you're not born an entrepreneur, you become one. And the Drury Fusion program gave me the start that I needed. When someone says they want to be an entrepreneur, you know, I start saying, you know, I ask them, you know, what they're thinking about becoming. Everyone has ideas. You know, making decisions and bringing the ideas to life is really the difference between an entrepreneur and everybody else. I always say there's 5 people somewhere in the world thinking of the same thing. It's your ability to execute, your ability to take risk, and so forth. And it's not easy. Being an entrepreneur takes time and dedication. You need to have grit and willpower, and you need to show others why they should invest. It's not for the faint of heart, I will tell you that, as my family will, but that's what being an entrepreneur is. So let me tell you about my journey. I started off, I love that music business, so I went off and I did concerts. Kansas City, ran the Uptown Theater, did as many as 27 concerts in a month. One night, Pat Benatar, the next night maybe Bonnie Raitt, the next night maybe B.B. King, and so forth. I did concerts, I did tours. I thought the music business was amazing. I don't think I would have made it to age 30. It's a crazy industry, and everything you've heard about it, just double it down. It was really tough. One of my friends here in high school, his father invented the rubber stamp machine, and he asked me to come back and take their $125,000 a year company, which was kind of struggling, and see what we could do to make it bigger. We went out and got the 2 biggest contracts for rubber stamps in the world. One of them was the U.S. Post Office, and the other one was the federal government, and that was run right here from Springfield. We started putting we started putting engraving together with the rubber stamps, and we created a first business opportunity. A company called Craft World saw that, and they actually got excited about it and said, you know what? Let's turn this into business opportunities. They sold 500 of them, and then the federal government says, you've got to turn this into a franchise. Doyal, you become our franchise expert. So with no previous knowledge, Drury didn't have a specialization in franchise, I became a franchise expert, and we were number 49 in the top 500, a little bit above Burger King that year. We did really good. Had I understood the other things that the teachers at Drury were talking about in terms of ownership of a company and different ways I could have done my structure of my contract, I should have been done. And also, I'm not really that smart. And what I mean by that is, as we exited that company, it got bought. My next company that I was asked for was these 2 guys in Wichita, Kansas. They sold their company to Pepsi called Pizza Hut. And they decided to create something called Pop and Go video rental stores. And they had more money than God to be able to create that franchise. And the franchise attorney says, you got to talk to Doyal. He knows how to build a company. I listened to him and I said, you know what? There's not going to be standalone video rental stores. It's going to go into 7-Eleven stores. It's going to go into grocery stores. And actually, I was correct. That's Redbox. That was 5 years before Wayne Hurstinger had a thought about Blockbuster. So I'm not that smart. You miss things, and sometimes you overjudge, and that's how it went. There was another one here called Debit One Mobile Bookkeeping, which is really weird. The way the bookkeeping used to work is you took the books to your accountant, he would do them, and you'd get them back once a month. We came with the idea with a Winnebago Century van of pulling up with an accountant right there and doing the books on the spot. In the first year, we did 78 franchises. The owner got Wall Street mention. We had bankers buying multiple territories and so forth. He called me in and he said, Doyle, this is great. I don't need you anymore. I found out what the term screwed is in getting done. It was not good. So I moved to Florida at that point in time in my life, career, and I took a pivot. And it was an amazing one. How many of you here are familiar with Home Shopping Network? I'm trying to be viable, and maybe most of you have heard of it. Well, when it first started off, it was a bunch of answering machines. I mean, people actually went and did the transcriptions and took those. There was no automated system that took in all the orders. They were creating that through a system called PSI, and I got connected with them and helped put that together. And as we put together the PSI program, I started working with the first two prepaid companies. Actually, it was a part of the prepaid calling card patent with Marvin Marshall, who's a very close friend of mine. You guys probably know what a prepaid calling card is, but it was a really cool deal. And as we're putting that together, there was an amazing guy called Tony DeCio with a company called Mailboxes, Etc. Maybe you've heard of that. That's now called UPS Store. Tony DeCio had a tough decision to make. He was being courted by two of the biggest companies in the communications world. MCI was spending millions of dollars because they wanted the largest non-food franchise in the world to sell those communication services at his 3,000 plus stores. There was a little startup company called LSSI, WorldCom. And WorldCom was kind of interesting to me. They had this new guy, Michael Jordan, with this Nike contract. I thought they might be up and coming. I did the analysis for that, and for that large corporation, we picked WorldCom. 2 years later, while that was happening, the MCI guys came to me and said, biggest mistake, we're much bigger, it shouldn't have happened, you're really gonna feel bad about this. 2 years later, WorldCom bought MCI, in case you didn't know, so they didn't have it there. While I was doing the communications, I helped a company called Sun Financial, and this really changed my life. Sun Financial, I ran into a gentleman named Clay Bittinger, and Clay Bittinger said, bring all your communication contacts. You've got a great network, Doyle. We're going to give you $75 million as a managing director of our investment banking group, and let's go out and find all these early stage internet companies and make some bets. Let's see what we can do. I leveraged my network. The first gentleman I knew was Matt Korn. Matt Korn was the CTO at AOL, so we were the first institutional investors in AOL. We gave them $15 million, which turned out return about $100 million to us because it was for their modem banks. Back in the beginning of the internet, when you dialed up, there was getting a lot of busy signals. And we figured that, okay, it may change names, but it's not going to go away. We did the same thing with cell towers. As cell towers were going up, we said they'll probably never come down. What a great investment we can do. So I had pivoted into being this investment banking personality with some really great contacts, things that really changed a lot of the way that I looked at businesses from a capital standpoint and the structure. And while we did that, we ran across another gentleman, Dr. Michael Trest. He had the first internet bandwidth company outside of a Bell company for the highest level of internet that you could get. He needed $15 million to get it to the next level. We provided the $15 million if he could match it. He went over and got NTT to bring a match to that. NTT then bought that company, which was called Verio. Verio is now owned for $5 billion by NTT, which is now one of the biggest data companies in the world at $15 billion. And Mike Trest, who I consider a good friend, was Dr. Mike Trest from the ARPANET. I don't know how many of you know about the ARPANET. That was the founding team that decided the standards for the internet. And I say to him, if you're that smart, why didn't you get like Nevada.com, LasVegas.com, go get all these .com. You could have owned the whole internet. You could have grabbed a couple of these or told your friends. That's not Mike. And in fact, he moved to Charlotte, where I live, to be a part of me. We took that $75 million from GATX, and we exited with $575 million in upside for the corporation. I was tied to the CEO's contract. Everybody thought I'd go into venture capital with him, but the entrepreneurial bug came out again. And there was offers coming. The first one was from a company called River City Capital. They had a company called Convey, which had an amazing technology 12 years before Zoom that could go onto your computer and actually bring live video, live communication, and live chat. The problem was their contract was with the OCLC. I don't know if you know who they are. That's the 43,000 libraries throughout the world. And libraries didn't have any money, so it's a bad business plan. We took that company and we said, where are we going to take it? I actually put it into another public company, and that public company was my first exposure to a young company called Google, which we took, and with that, we said, you know what, let's reinvent this company. We got some great patents. I could talk about patents all day. I've been on several. I've been in infringement analysis on patents. I acquired for $1.6 million a really cool patent, find.com. Go look at it after you're done, because we thought it was really cool. Why search when you can find it? That patent has never come to the market. It's sad. It's still there. The investors, I had a really great idea. One of my really great ideas. I was working with a company called LSSI. And LSSI said, hey, directory assistance used to be you dialed the area code 555-1212. Then it suddenly became what city, what state. They created a universal database. And while we were talking about that, I said, these kids are not going to hit 411 on their phones. They're going to hit their find button. Verizon loved it. My investors thought that was stupid. They should be a search engine. I left. Find.com has never made it to the market, and that's the story about that. I did, though, get another idea. When I saw that universal database, and with the help of Deb, we created, she was our first to hire, which was really tough, working with her. We created a company called Universal Business Listing with the same idea. What if we create one database for all the businesses that could put that information in there and have it listed? We took the company public. The company actually it was for businesses at that time. There were 1,200 search engines in the United States. And so how does a small plumber get his business information in? When you're on maps today, you just take it for granted that that name and listings up there. Do they have pets available? What hours they are? Those enhanced listings and so forth. We created a company with over 300 employees in over 22 countries to be able to do that, and I exited in 2015. That's now a $2 billion industry. What Dr. Cloyd was talking about, and I'm about to get to the good stuff on the screen, just give me another minute. But the good stuff that happened was after 2015, I started taking on projects like, I got really interested in Kickstarters and crowdfunding. One of my first projects, going back to my music buddies, was Carlos Santana. I don't know, most of the women may know this, but Carlos Santana, until 3 years ago, did about $30 million a year with women's shoes. If you put Carlos Santana in, you'll see these really high, dangerous shoes. And he wanted to do men's shoes, and he didn't want to spend any money. So we did a Kickstarter campaign, and what I'm proud of is he sent me one of his platinum records, personally engraved to Doyal, Bryant, and I was like, okay, thank you, Carlos. That's a nice gift for a small guy from here. I had another major project, which Drury's been aware of, which is around the sock world. Being on the foundation board at the 9th largest hospital in the United States, Novant, they asked if I would help this company called Thorlo. I don't expect any of you in here have ever heard of Thorlo, but Thorlo socks have been around for about 30 years. And like all the sock companies in North Carolina and the mills and so forth, they were in dire straits. And I was saying there's really no way to help them, but the owner, who was in failing health, said, please, can you help me bring in investment to at least sell my brand and help my company? What I'm proud of, besides not ever having a bankruptcy through the highs and lows of this and being able to keep this, is that particular company, me and a Wall Street bank, were able to purchase, save. It's now gone from $12 million to $19 million in sales. It's a continued growth, and they just got approved, and this is new news for you today. There's a company that spun off of that called Circulate, which has created a medically infused sock that has been approved as a diabetic saving device medically, and you'll see those trials coming up, and I can't talk about it as much as I like, but I'm kind of proud of those good things. Now, here's what happened. When I was out in LA, I was attending, I don't know how many of you know who Ronnie Dio is, or David Groh, and some of the metal guys, but they were having a special foundation product, and I was out there with some of these metal artists, and they asked me to meet a gentleman named Remington Scott. And Remington Scott has won 2 Academy Awards. His first one was for the movie Lord of the Rings. In Lord of the Rings, he actually was one of the first ones that created a character, Gollum, who he talked to in the movie. So where they got the Academy Award was his ability to communicate direct with Gollum instead of with the actor, and that was the first time that had happened. He was always on the cutting edge of different technologies for how to create it, so when you see these games and you see these people, it's really Remington Scott and the genius team that's been with him for over 20 years. And then he had a second success in Academy Awards. Again, you guys, for those who have seen Spider-Man 2, that's actually the first time that a movie was having a digital human. That means a digital version of themselves, not drawn by artists and thousands of them, but actually created through special techniques that I'll be showing you here, created this digital version. And for that, again, that team with him won another Academy Award. His conversation with me that day was about his idea of changing the way that it works. What happens is Hollywood throws away all that digital work, all that, so after the movie's over, after you've spent millions of dollars of creating a Gemini man, a younger version, it's thrown away. And the artists themselves don't own their likeness. So when you see a particular person in a film, they have to redo it again. I'll never forget, Samuel Jackson, for example, telling us, for 4 times I've been scanned, and Will Smith 3 times in 1 year. It's like, why can't we just have one database? And then that database can be used over and over again if you've got my digital, what we call DNA. Well, you remember my universal business listing idea? I was like, wait a minute, I've been down this route before. This is kind of cool to put this together. Why don't we create that vault where we can go and get digital images of these top stars, and then when you're ready to use them in a movie, in a TV show, or anything, a music video, and so forth. And one of the first ones, we were wondering if we could get Paul McCartney. And Paul really, he's kind of cheap. He didn't want to pay for his video. And he says, well, if you'll pay for my music video, I'll do the digital stuff. He was not really thinking about it. I can tell you now that we have some really exciting projects. I can't tell you all of them, but I can tell you in the post theory, some of the things that we're doing with the digital version of Paul McCartney are very exciting to me. What I'm going to do now is actually present a little bit more of the technology of hyperreal. And then after we do that, I'll let Chris ask questions from you and others that he's been just waiting to steer me on. Okay, so you want to start off with the first thing there? Take the lights down. Oh, that's the picture of the band? Okay, we need to get past that. There was 3 other band papers. You don't know which one I'm in there, probably there, which one I am. By the way, 3 of those guys, and every one of my pictures of my bands, all were Drury people. Whiplash was one of them. Asthma Circle was another one, and I'm old. The third one I don't remember. Anyway, let's get past that, please, Adam. Move on. The first thing I want to talk about, they made this about the metaverse, so I wanted to take just a second and, here we are. Yeah, he's supposed to, Adam, yeah, we did this in practice. Because there you go, a little better. And by the way, all this stuff is very high level. Again, I apologize. There's only so much you can do with screen and screen projection. We're using what's called 4K and 8K, which you might have heard of. That's down to the sub-pore level, which means we're actually getting inside of your pores with the capability of what we can create in terms of a digital human. Let's take a roll with this one and see what you think.
I am not Morgan Freeman, and what you see is not real. Well, at least in contemporary terms, it is not. What if I were to tell you that I am not even a human being? Would you believe me? What is your perception of reality? Is it the ability to capture, process, and make sense of the information our senses receive? If you can see, hear, taste, or smell something, does that make it real? Or is it simply the ability to feel? I would like to welcome you to the era of synthetic reality. Now, what do you see?
Thank you. No part of that was Samuel Jackson. Not one part of that. Not a digitized part of him, none. In fact, we didn't have time, but we would show you the making of that with another gentleman behind that. But again, for the shortness of time, I just want you to know that there was no part of him. I think we skipped the part on the metaverse, but let's go ahead and go to the next video. Adam, we'll just get this going and we can talk about the metaverse later. Okay, this is interesting to me before he starts it. I mentioned this earlier. I got a call from Sony about Madison Beer. I thought, I said, why are we doing a brewery? I didn't know who Madison Beer is. I'm dealing with some really young people, you know, DeLupa and Lizzo and Madison Beer. These are cutting edge people, and I'm trying to keep up and be cool, but I was like, Madison Beer. Turns out she's a gorgeous, smart person with her music. We did one of the most intense virtual performances, and I'd love to show it to you. It's 9 minutes. It's been shown on TikTok. It's been shown in virtual places and so forth. But in this case, I wanted you to get a little idea of where this technology was a year and a half ago. Adam, could you do this, please?
I would love to meet Madison in person, but I never did. I met Madison's digital version. Everything that she did was transferred real time into my virtual reality headset. And so I was talking to her hypermodel in 3D. Bring that in and make it more personal. And she was talking back to me. It gave me incredible insight into how she performs because I was able to teleport instantly to any part of the music hall to be able to watch her performance. It's transformative. You can't go back once you do that.
Partner, Remington Scott, the founder of this company and really of this industry, probably the global's top person at making a digital human. What I'm amazed about here is this happened during COVID, and he did that work from Pennsylvania through a virtual reality headset. He directed her. The entire thing probably will win another award. It was amazing. We got another one?
So, Madison, what do you think?
You look amazing. Oh my God.
Imagine me, your hypermodel, in a video game. What do you think that video game would look like?
Well, you'd definitely be flying because that's what I would do, and we share the same brain.
What is the coolest thing the internet has done for creators like us?
Bring us closer with our fans.
So do you have any advice for me as your own personal hypermodel?
If you get a pimple, don't forget it.
What inspires you most about the possibilities of technology?
You.
As you can see, we've got some big names coming behind us, Sony and Verizon and NVIDIA and major corporations. I'm very proud that there will be an announcement tomorrow morning. I think you'll see it tomorrow. I don't control the wires. There's a company called CJ. How many of you in here have seen Squid Game? Okay, well, those who have seen Squid Game, CJ, and also Parasite, the Academy Award-winning company, it's a $80 billion company out of Korea that has made an investment in us and a major business collaboration to accelerate and speed the growth of these on a global basis. Even though we started off with entertainment, which is what I was going to talk about, we did that because we think that's a way the metaverse will be able to connect with people. I wanted you to see Madison Beer, and what you're seeing there with that hypermodel, that's a year and a half old technology. And you're going to see it here in just a minute on a latest thing we did with Simon Fuller. What's interesting is you see all the little dots, and you've seen this on TV where they put these suits on, and it's called motion capture and so forth. We're now already starting companies with new testing to where we don't need that. They could put 2 cameras in here and capture my motion or a artist's motion, and you have it digitally DNA'd forever, available to reuse it and re-show it in any way you can think about. And it's just a matter of them having that captured like a safety net. So if they ever want to perform, want to do a commercial, want to do a whatever, or for some reason they can't. Another thing we don't have time to show today, but I'm more than glad for those that want some of this, is our ability to de-age. I know some of you have seen this, but we took Jackie Chan, and Jackie Chan's getting old, older than me actually. He's like in his 80s, and he wanted to capture his motion. But one of the things he asked Remington to do is, can you de-age me? So Epic, the company with Fortnite, gave Remington us a Epic Mega Grant, and we de-aged him to age 21. It's phenomenal to see what we can do and give him an extension. We call it performance extension. So now he can continue to perform over and over again while he's sitting at home. I don't know how many of you have heard about ABBA. There's a new digital version of ABBA that's getting ready to perform in London, especially stage. That was actually created by ILM, not us. They paid $80 million for it. We could have saved them about 90% of that. But they'll be performing, and it's not the band. Each day you'll go there, and they're paying tickets for seeing ABBA doing 10 shows a day. They don't get tired. They don't get sick. They're there performing and so forth. We have multiple acts and artists that I can't talk about that we're getting ready to do. This is the making of Jump. I apologize in advance. Once this is in your head, this song, this is Simon Fuller. Again, I'm trying to show you short versions. This is the actual making and through the process of what we do at Hyperreal. And in this case, this is actually 7 years in the story taking and the creation, because I think that's one of the real big markets that you're going to see is they've created a story about an alter ego person. And there's a lot of that happening in the metaverse and in the internet. There's not a person called Alta B. She's from a spaceship. You're going to hear a little bit about that. She's not there. It's actually Simon's partner, Vandella, out of Sweden, that they've put this whole story together, and we've taken that story now and got 55 million views in the first 30 days on what we've done, and Verizon forgot to do the PR on it, so we haven't released PR on it yet. Let's see how this looks. Thank you.
So right now I have like 140, 150 dots on my face, and I have them because they're now going to capture my facial expressions. So they'll be able to see if I smile, if I'm angry. This bodysuit I have on me, you see how it has all these little dots? They're put on different like muscles and joints around my body, and they will help create like a skeleton of my body in the computer. Let's do it.
When the sky is falling down, down, all we do is jump, 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 jump. Jump, 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 jump.
Alta B is created by Simon and me. We've known her for so long, you know, we've known her for years now, and we've talked about her for years, and we've been planning this detail by detail, and the fact that it's actually happening and that Alta B gets to do this together with Now United is such a dream come true. Stay tuned.
Down in the dark light, we're losing our minds.
Good morning, guys. So today we're at Echo Studios. Today it's time to do the face scan. I'm going to be doing a lot of facial expressions, and after the face we're going to move on to the body scan, and then we'll mold that all together to the movements. Walking in, there's this like ball with hundreds of cameras in it, and I'm going to sit in that one. It's so cool. It's a look. I'm going to be in here, in the chair.
Take two.
That's done. Now I'm gonna get into the spacecraft again. It's time to do the hand expressions now. So we do face, hands, body. What else? That's it.
And then we're wrapped.
And we're wrapped. Together with Verizon, we're using the latest version of technology to make Alta B come alive. And that's so cool.
When the sky is falling down, down, all we do is jump, 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 jump. Jump, 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 jump.
So in there, when I was in that ball of cameras, I had to do a couple rounds of singing, but the interesting part was I had to keep my face and head completely still, which was actually so much harder than I thought. Because when I sing, like, I realize I move my shoulders, and you know, to get into the groove and like getting to the vibe, I don't just move my face, I move my whole like upper body. That was a big challenge. It was super hard. Now we're gonna move into doing some of these facial things with makeup. After like putting in all the work and all the thoughts into who she is and what she's gonna be, this is the first time we're actually like putting her to life, giving birth to her. So it's pretty cool. So yeah, that's a wrap. I just can't wait to see Alta B come to life. Thank you guys. Thank you for watching.
When the sky is falling down, down, all we do is jump, 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 jump.
Hi guys.
Welcome to behind the scenes
of jump, 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 jump,
jump. I think the coolest thing about this song is because we have a special guest.
This artist is called Alta B, and she is a virtual artist, and she comes from outer space. She has a beautiful voice, and she looks super cool.
This is some super secret technology stuff, and it's gonna be the craziest thing you'll ever see in your entire life. You're not ready.
Jump, 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 jump.
Alta B, she's going to be CGI'd into our video, which is so cool, which means we're going to be dancing and she's going to be like put into it like with special effects, if that makes sense. So it's going to be something totally different that we've never done before, and yeah, it's going to be awesome. I hope you guys like Alta B.
All right, this part is where Alta B touches my face. But she's not actually there, it's crazy, but she is there because she's real, but she's not, it's nuts.
Fire in our eyes, right in the night sky, feeling so alive.
Guys, it's a wrap! It's a wrap! We've never done anything like this ever before. It was a little tedious, but now we're in the flow of things. So cool that we get to see how this is coming together. Like, she's not actually here, but she's going to be there when you see it. We're just trying to make it all work with our imaginary pop star.
It's
Band called Now United. They're from, I believe, 14 different countries with different artists from like India and the Philippines and so forth that he put together. And then he brought down Alta B with this new ego coming from outer space. They're now on tour. I think they were in Brazil or Chile. As they're touring globally, Alta B is looking at potentially touring with them. If you go on site, don't have time today, you can go to YouTube and put in Jump and see Alta B performing with that band in that particular performance. Again, what's unique about what you're seeing here is that as we were putting this together, we were capturing that DNA forever. So what you saw her going through, any actress or actor or any person we put through the different type of cameras that we put into our light cage, once we've got your DNA, once you've got that motion with your face and so forth, we don't need you again. We can do everything beyond what you could see, like you saw at the very beginning of this, pretty much without ever having to do it again. So the artist, maybe they're in the movie, maybe they're in that, maybe they're not. You'll be seeing and hearing some that I couldn't bring, but we're working quite a bit with deceased artists. And major announcements coming shortly that I hope you'll hear about, where we're bringing back some very famous digital versions of some of the top artists that have deceased and passed away. And of course for me, again, kind of going back to my journey, think about this. Even though I love music, as Dr. Cloyd, I love entertainment. I've kept some great friends in industry, but I'm not trained in this. I didn't get a graphics degree here. I didn't have Chris and his science classes and all the certificates. I learned from different parts of business though, and I think this is what Fusion's all about, is taking that and then taking it to the next level. I have only one more thing I'm going to show you here. This is new, and there's another one we just didn't have time to download, but I think it's also on the internet. So now that we've created Alta B, there's a really cool thing that if you're in the data world, you want to learn called artificial intelligence, which gets smarter and smarter. So after we learn and get this digital parts of her, the brain keeps getting smarter and smarter, and then it's able to actually take what we call deep brain and able to communicate. I actually, Doyal from Springfield, Missouri, actually had a conversation last Sunday with Alta B. It shocked the heck out of me. I could ask questions, came back answers, and so forth. This was actually doing it with her bandmates. It's a little more staged than we were at, because this was done a few months ago. But just to show you how fast this technology is moving, I'm going to let part of this interview go. It's 8 minutes. I don't think we need to go through 8 minutes. I'm just going to let you see a few minutes of it, and then I'll be ready for you, Chris. Let's go. Okay, Adam.
Hey Uniters! So as you guys know, we recently got to work with this amazing artist named Alta B on our new single, Jump. It's so nice to see you again today. How have you been?
I'm so happy to be here. Hey you, Josh, Annie. Thank you for having me.
It's so nice to have you here today. And you guys probably know already, but she's actually from a whole nother planet.
What?
Crazy.
You're from another planet?
I am.
Can I, like, make sure you actually exist?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Wait. She exists?
She exists. And it's so smooth. Oh my goodness gracious. Whoa. I already knew this. But we just wanted to bring you here today to ask you a bunch of questions. Obviously, this is a very interesting moment. And you can ask us some questions about Earth and us and everything.
Yes, so Alta B, what we want to know first about you and what everybody wants to know is a little bit more about you and how did you find Earth? Where are you from? Tell us all about it.
So, I'm from a planet named Croy. It's a planet really, really far away from here. And Croy will always hold a very special place in my heart, but sadly, it's not the way it used to be. A while ago, I decided to run away from home. I kind of stole my father's spacecraft, and I traveled through space for weeks. And all of a sudden, I discovered this planet, your planet, Earth. Yes. And I went closer, and I realized on this planet, you do not only look like me, but most importantly, you feel like me. And I felt like I found something I've been looking for my whole life. And luckily, you guys were the first people.
Again, this is on the internet. You can see it. I'm going to say one last thing before I start to take these questions that are going to be tough probably from Chris here. I just wanted to say one of the things I really want everybody in the room that's a student to understand is I think building community and building networks is probably the most important thing that I've done in life. And I think the best place, if I was going to this back machine, I wish I'd taken more advantage of Drury when you're here, because the type of people you're going to meet and the community you build. When you go out into the internet, that's what you're going to start to see. You're going to see communities like this is where you want to be and this is exciting. And if you think that's where it was, that's where the Pilgrims were, it was a community. You know, probably in Republic, there's a group of people that started a city there, and it's a community. That community and that network will leverage you forever. And I just want you to know that leveraging the contacts you meet, including the ones here, I think for your life experiences is one of the best suggestions I can give you. I wish I'd done better, actually, being honest with you, leveraging my Drury relationships, because there's a lot of brain power, a lot of smart people, a lot of contacts through here, and I did this without leveraging as much as I have, and I'm so glad that I'm back and connecting and seeing that. So start building it here at Drury. I have two more little quotes real quick. One is, be curious and not judgmental. That came from Ted Lasso, not me, okay? But most of you guys who know Ted Lasso is from Apple, I hope. Another one is believe in yourself, because nothing in life is worthwhile unless you take a risk. That's what I want to leave you with now. Chris, you got some questions?
That is really super fascinating stuff, Doyle, and thank you for coming out. I want to ask them some questions, or get some questions from them, but first I have questions, so I'm going to hog it a little bit. How in the world do you decide this is the idea, right? Okay, so I'm asking you, how do I become a good entrepreneur, I guess?
You know, there's not a shortage of good ideas. I have people submitting things to me, and they submit them throughout the world. Look at the Shark Tank, you know. Those aren't companies on Kickstarter. Those are people with ideas and products and saying, if you believe in it, I'll pay for it, and people will come onto it. And that's the world we live in. I don't know, you know, because you just got to be careful not to prejudge just because somebody's got it. You've got to go through the economics that you learn in college. There's things you can learn that you've got to have the basics of to get to the next level. And there are people who also need to learn that there's really smarter people you can network with to help get this here. I mean, think about Remington Scott. This guy had 2 Academy Awards. He knew everything. What he didn't know was how to run a company. He didn't know how to put those pieces together. He didn't know how to go to raise the first amount of money that we did. This is all new stuff, and I'm really glad to have been on that journey with him to help do that. It's not an easy answer, but there's no short. I'd be surprised there's not 5 people in here that have got ideas of businesses that they want to do. That's the world we live in today, is instead of working for the IBMs of the world and the Facebooks, what if I can create this myself? And sometimes it's not just about economics and wanting to be rich quick. It's about life experiences and satisfaction of your life and being able to do something. You wake up every morning. I'm amazed. I mean, a guy, again, from Springfield, Missouri, waking up, and I'm taking calls from people that you would just, my goodness, why are they? I mean, it's just shocking to me what's going on. Okay?
Yeah, good, thanks. So talking about hyperreal and this technology, let's assume not everyone in the audience is a computer scientist or an animator or a pop star. So why is this relevant to them? Why would they care about this?
You know, first of all, you have to pay attention to what's happening here. What you're seeing now that starts with the entertainment industry, I don't know how many of you saw Travis Scott, where he did a performance in Fortnite that 20 million people went to, I think 40 million actually. And then there's another one on Roblox with Little Nas, and Little Nas had 30 million people go in there online. And now we start talking about, well, what if we leave $1 tip? That's $30 million in one day for a performance. These are game-changing things. But what's happening and what I tried to show there is the new companies that are coming to us, that are talking to us from weather and from sports channels, saying, you know what if I could have a weather person, man or woman, here to tell the weather? Can you make it good enough that's believable? Yeah, they can fly around in the snow and it's really cool and it's a happy day. Oh my goodness, there's a tornado coming. Can we bring the expressions through your eyes and your mouth and so close that you totally understand that? There's a lot of places this technology is going to go, and it's not just us. There's companies getting hundreds of millions of dollars to create it. You'll be talking to call centers. You'll be talking to people for your mental health. All this is going to be new, and I think there's going to be a big thing in education. We're working with projects now that I wish I could talk about where, what if you can dial up and talk to a top celebrity? I'm not talking Cameo. It's a little more advanced than that. What if you could actually talk to one of the teachers here in 15 years from now and ask questions? What if you actually could find a friend and you say, hey, should I go out with that guy? What do you think about this? It's all coming. It's coming faster than you know.
Thank you. Well, and now that you're talking about replacing my job, let me, we don't have to go very far before you can see some pretty dystopian uses for this technology. The deep fakes, like Morgan Freeman.
And hold just down a second. Two things I left out. Number one, there is a thing called deep fakes. One of the things that we've been working on from the very beginning of the company is putting in special capabilities so that the artists that we have the digital DNA in are protected, so that they know that this is not a misuse of them, so that it's not Tom Cruise, it's not Samuel Jackson, it's actually their representation and their likeness. So there's a lot of new areas coming along here, and what you saw here, which was done by one of our contracting guys, their specialization is actually, when they're doing this type of work, we take it to a little bit higher level, because if you notice, he was just talking straight to you. Our ability is in a 3D environment with different type of lighting and so forth is to make it totally real. We call it hyperGAN, and if you didn't notice there, we don't call these avatars. Avatars are cartoons. They can be semi-looking. You can all make a cartoon avatar in multiple different places in the metaverse. Ours are hypermodels, the highest level that you can make of fidelity, moving it to what we think is the uncanny valley of being able to make it to where it's as close to a human for expression and ability to reduplicate.
Cool. And that's, I think that we've talked a lot about ethical issues, and that's just one of them, and I think one that's going to require a lot of exploration. And so I guess one question would be for students out there, and I see some students out there, if they're interested in contributing or helping with this technology or this new world we're going into, are there particular things you think they should study or be exposed to?
You know, I think our business touches more than just the computer graphics area. I talk about what's called a creator economy, and I think that's where we're heading. Once we create this vault and it's ready to go to work, we're going to be looking for storytellers and creators and people to come up with. If you notice, you've got Netflix and multiple streaming services, Hulu and Paramount, and there's going to be, just like there's hundreds of channels, there's going to be hundreds of these places that you can go. And I think it's really going to be a little crazy out there for a while. We're kind of excited to see the possibilities of that.
Good. So, well, let's turn this around and put Dr. Cloyd on the spot. Is there something Drury should be doing to help prepare our students for this in the future?
Well, I don't want to put him on the spot, but I think, first of all, this is a liberal arts college, and that's kind of exciting because you especially with Fusion, you have the ability to take your course that you've decided to make your main area in and then add these certifications in other areas of interest and so forth to expand. I think the thing that really excites me about the fusion and the process is the ability to come out with real work in multiple areas. As you can see from somebody like me, there are some people that this is what they do. They learn nursing, and nursing is what they do. And there's nothing wrong with that. We need them and so forth. There's specialists in these areas. One of the things that I hope that Drury looks at is allowing these students to continue to expand to certificates. I was working a few weeks ago with the Arizona University, which has created the first metaverse courses and certificates to learn about where it's going and how it's going to affect industries and businesses. And the students there the first questions they were asking is, are you sure this is okay to recreate a human? What happens with this and so forth? I'm positive that the students at Drury will expand. I know in computer sciences, when I was here, we were using punch card machines, and those are gone. You guys have adapted to the new stuff here, so I think Drury will adapt, and I'm really excited about the conversations I've had with everybody like Beth and Marie and Dr. Cloyd. They are really pushing to make this a special place, and I don't want to make it sound like a commercial, but everything I see here is giving the students the ability to think and look at new ways to take themselves into a business experience and career.
Cool. All right, well, just one more before we take questions from the audience. Did you have a special memory or some experience here that you really stuck with you through the years?
Yeah, but I can't talk about it.
So does anybody have a question you'd like to put to Doyal? I have more of it. Yes. Okay, so let me just repeat that for the live stream. The question is, what's the most important thing to be able to sell your vision to people?
I actually think what's worked for me, and everybody's a little different, is enthusiasm. When I'm talking to somebody, I'm not trying to sell them. I'm just trying to tell them my passion and my excitement for it. And I think that conveys over to them. If you're not excited about it or if you're scared about it, humans will pick up on that. So I think if you really believe in it, you tell them why you believe in it. You've got to have you can't just do it and it works. There's a lot of work to organizing yourself into a business. But to me, and again, everybody's different. First of all, the numbers have to work. When I see deals and, people have brought me things and said, this is going to change the way you do this and so forth. Again, the bigger you talk about those things, I think that actually starts to look like a bunch of baloney. I think showing and having some experience with a track record and getting some experience in that area, and then putting that together in a professional way works. But I hope I'm giving you some answers there, which is, again, the best way to convey it is to be excited. Yeah, that answer is perfect. You got a lot to think about here.
All right, thank you. Anybody else?
Also, don't be afraid to ask for help. And what I mean by that is, I always said when I was the CEO of 2 NASDAQ companies, if I'm the smartest person in the room, we're in trouble. I surrounded myself with people a lot smarter. And in fact, in this company, Hyperreal, I'm just the guy making deals here and there with the stars and some of the different management companies and some of the big companies that are, like I talked about, the announcement we'll have tomorrow from the cinema and the entertainment world. These are geniuses behind this stuff. And again, when we started the company, we were really fortunate because Remington had that. There are other startups that I see, young guys who are putting together new ideals. I had one come to me not long ago, and he's got a new vision on taking a virtual reality type of headset, and you can do your entire eye exam through it. That sounds stupid and crazy, but if you think about this, eyesight is so important. And now think about foreign countries and poor populations where they don't have the hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment, but they can put that in there and guide these people toward better eyesight and so forth. There's no shortage of ideas. His problem is he didn't know how to talk to capital. He didn't know how to put the other pieces together that you need. And that's where you try to find mentorship and community and people in your network that have that.
Right? Any others? Yes.
How do you guys
So, yeah, I think if you're talking about storing our digital DNA, how are you going to protect it? How do you ensure that it's secure?
I'm not the technical guy, but I can tell you from the start of the company, we have been working on that. There are some really, really smart companies like NVIDIA, which is a very large company that have worked with us and some of the people we have. We've put in little watermarks and little things. The important thing is it's probably my belief that if somebody wants to get to it bad enough, they can. But if we know if it's real and it's our work, we work very hard to protect and make sure. Actually, the issue isn't so much that it can get stolen and hacked. It's more a case of, will it work? Because there's so many different capabilities. We've got, people talking to us about making this work in a PlayStation 5, and can you make it work on Apple TV, and can you make it work in my mobile phone? And to make it work through those different areas in different ways and make it look real is a science by itself. But it is a challenge. We have some secret sauce, so I'm not going to give up the secret sauce, but we're trying to get smarter about that every day, because one of the things that scares me as an owner in the company is that exact thing happening, which is somebody was to get into our vault and pull out parts of that. I can tell you it's military level capability, but it's probably a constant fight, and technologies change, and there's bad actors throughout the world. Come on, Drew, you can figure that out. Help us take a couple of courses and figure it out. Take that as an area.
All right, yes, sir.
So outside of work and more in your personal life, what is something that you found to be like a foundational portion of your life that kind of helped you throughout your success and throughout your career?
I have something we didn't show at the end here, or maybe we will still at the very end. I will tell you, it all starts with family. I got three of the most important people here in the audience with me tonight. My mother, at 90 years old, without the guidance and her pain and working extra jobs besides the family, I wouldn't be able to do it just off of guitar lessons at Hoover Music Store. My sister, who is an angel that takes care of my mom and so forth, so I can do some of these things in the world and so forth as we're all getting a little older. And Deb, who's put up with me for 30 years. And we made a joke today saying, well, my mom's got 100 business cards, and Deb says, well, I've got 30. I think it starts with family. Right now, I have a passion for our business, and you can probably tell that, but I love music. I always talk about getting the band together, and playing, but, I found out you can take two record players to scratch them and do EDM and get $250,000 for 15 minutes. So are you kidding me? I just need to get that record stuff and get it going. I don't know if I have to play. It's just things that I want to do. And I'm at that stage of my life where I really want to start thinking about how I can enjoy it with the people that matter.
Did we do it?
Did you make it?
Did we miss it?
Are you there? I also have this person. One thing you didn't know, and this is a surprise to my mom, kind of get me up a little bit. I'm not Doyal Bryant, I'm Doyal Bryant Jr. And this is my father, who had the same passion for music. And what's really special about this man was he retired from the phone company here, worked for Southwestern Bell, and he took and learned the banjo from scratch. And he and a group of people called the Scums of the Pioneers, instead of the Sons, they went around to nursing homes here in Springfield for 20 years. And played for giving for people who had no thing. And so this is part of my DNA, and it's real important. And I wanted my mom to know, when you ask a question like that, that's where I came from.
Well, I think it's going to be hard to follow that. So let's thank Doyal, and it has been really great. Thank you all for coming out, and we'll see you tomorrow at Fusion Day.
Thanks, Chris.